Home Show.
Star from Madison, Wisconsin has a question about slipping siding.
Well, she bought a house that a previous owner had put vinyl siding over the asbestos siding, and now she got a problem. Star writes to us, now the vinyl siding is buckling and coming loose. The contractors used a foam board between the asbestos and the vinyl siding. And I heard you say, it's almost like should I finish this? I think you know the answer. My problem is that I'm not sure whether the nails and screws penetrate the asbestos and go into the studs underneath. Do the nails attaching to the vinyl need to penetrate both the foam board and asbestos and into the studs underneath, or is the foam board enough to hold the siding, Tom?
First off, the foam board does not hold the siding, although I wouldn't doubt that some of the connections didn't get connected properly. There's no doubt. And if the vinyl's coming off and you're going to put new vinyl on top, you certainly want your connections to go into some of the structure. Now, when it comes to asbestos siding, that is really brittle. So, I mean, you didn't cut that with a saw. You actually scored it and snapped it. It was so brittle. It's like cutting tile. And it was a great product. It lasted a long time. It was safe because you didn't have any dust or anything. So it's not a bad product. It's just not made anymore, at least not in the United States. As far as that goes, but most of it was put on wood sheathing. So right behind the asbestos is probably maybe a plywood. On the older homes, it would have been a shiplap or some kind of wood sheathing, because that asbestos had little nail holes that were pre-drilled, and you had to hit the nails in those nail holes. So you couldn't just go to a stud here or a stud there. It had to have a solid sheathing behind it. So if they put new vinyl, I would suggest hardy siding. Even in Wisconsin, I think you'd really step it up a notch and look much better and not deal with the vinyl. Although vinyl does work better in really cold climates, and I know Wisconsin is, as opposed to where we are down here with the hurricanes and everything. But whatever you get, it's going to have to go behind the asbestos and into the wood behind it. Now, here's the other kicker. And she probably didn't have the house when it was asbestos. If you can pull the vinyl off and the foam off, and you see pretty good looking asbestos, you can fill what little holes are there and you can paint it. It holds paint for 25 years, especially today's paint. You might like the old retro look, and there's nothing wrong with having a retro look because you're not going to pull it off anyway. And if you do pull it off, then you have to check in Wisconsin, I don't know, what the laws are about asbestos abatement.
Right. But if that comes off, I thought I've heard you say in the past that it's non-friable, the stuff that comes off the house.
Well, it's considered non-friable because it's not dust, like what would be the old insulation they used to put on ships and stuff. That stuff was everywhere, and people were breathing it. That's where the problem was. As far as this goes, or tile on the floor, as long as you're not picking it up, or if you're using a really good company like cutting edge tile removal, we have so many, and they suck all the schmutz up, that's fine, but they still have to dispose of it somehow. But it becomes friable when it becomes dusty. But as far as asbestos siding goes, and I can take hardy back in history, it used to have asbestos in it decades ago when it first was invented, and they took it out because of what happened in the industry, and it's fiber cement now. But it is a great product, and it paints wonderful. It holds paint great. And some of the old timers remember working with it, and it was easy to work with.
Yeah. You had some asbestos siding and some lead paint on there, and you're cooking with gas.
I'm sure it has lead paint on there.
All right. Do you have a question? We'd be happy to take you back in time and help you out. Just visit HomeShowRadio.com and click on the Ask Tom button, fill it out, send it in, and we'll answer it just like this. We'll post them on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and, of course, at HomeShowRadio.com.